essentially tantric relating, bringing in different polar.
Oh, something just happened. Hang on.
And that dynamic.
Something just happened and you like cut out.
Oh, yeah. With that.
Okay, hang on. So it's bringing in different polarities. Sorry, and then the whole thing just cut out.
Yeah. Bringing in the different polarities within self and within the dynamic of a relationship, and then how that expands out into a kind of longevity of a relationship too, in which to bring a baby into. And it's a journey that I've been through down myself. So I do a lot of my own work and personal development work, and really dive deep into a lot of things that I therefore bring and transmit to the couples that I work with. And it's continuing to evolve. I think even since the last time that we spoke, it's continuing to evolve as well, and different doors are opening up, and my work is changing quite fluidly at the moment. So I have, the way that I work at the moment is in clinic, and one-on-one with a couple or with a woman predominantly. And then I've just started doing different offerings as well, where, like I've come down to Mullumbimby to see Krishna Das and, do kirtan and set up a little pop-up clinic and set it up on a boat. And like, it's quite amazing. So, and I'm going down to Melbourne, doing a couple of pop-up clinics down there. I'm opening up into more of a group space as well, and doing shamanic yin acupuncture and opening up some real deep portals. I'm going to launch soon a couples program where it's in-depth coaching with me one-on-one, and that can be from anywhere in the world. And I've felt this call to deliver the work that I do on a broader scale and a wider perspective. So that's about to happen, and there'll be a retreat involved in that, where come and live in and have a real embodied experiential experience, essentially, of conscious conception and different tools of relating and working on fertility on different levels as well. So it's really weaving in all the different magic that I've learned and experienced in myself into what I do these days. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh my God, I love it. I love you doing your pop-up clinics. I realized too I hadn't pressed record until you started talking. So anyone who's kind of just started watching, because they can rewatch the live, but then of course I'll give you the video again, and we'll probably post the video somewhere. And I'm like, oh, I missed the beginning. So anyone who's watching it as a video, not directly back on the inner circle, which is where we're doing this live, who's watching the recording, I'm chatting with Amy. And I'm Zapheria, and we're talking about conscious conception. And Amy was just telling us all about who she is and what she does. And I feel like the recording is kind of important, because I feel like the Wi-Fi is doing some weird stuff as well. So, anyway, I love that you're doing these pop-up clinics around, and I love that you just said you're doing one in Melbourne, because I'm going to Melbourne soon. So I'm like, when are you going to Melbourne?
Oh, I am going down twice in November.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I would like to go down at the end of August. There's a special someone having a special party that I would like to go to. But it definitely twice in August. I'm going down for more training in the work that I do with Chinese medicine and fertility with one of my mentors, who's amazing. And so it's a one-day thing. So I'll set up one there. It's the beginning of November, and then some ISTA work at the end of November.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Also tied into this work too.
Excellent. So anyone who's watching this who's in Melbourne, you totally need to contact Amy. I wanted to do her pop-up clinic while she was in Byron here, but I had other plans and a ceremony that I was part of on the weekend that meant that I was unable to. So next time you're here, though, totally doing it.
I'm coming down here again. September, I think, is going to be the next pop-up kind of clinic. Yeah.
Cool.
But I love it. It's beautiful. It's quite different to the work that I do in clinic as well.
Yeah.
It's more in depth, I feel, because it's pop-up. It's kind of like, it's a bit of a package. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Awesome. You have to tell us all when you get back, so we can, whoever's in Byron, then you need to also watch Amy, because she's coming back. So I want to chat to you about conscious conception. So I'm just going to jump over onto the live as well, and I realize that I'm not really watching the live because I'm so excited to talk to you. Oh, that's right. We're live on a Facebook page. I probably should check.
I
Anyone's
love
asking questions.
I get so giddy with you. I love it.
I'm just overexcited.
Yeah.
Here we go. Let's like just invite some people so they even know that it's on. Inviting some epic women. Oh, don't invite them because they're a man and they can't come. Right. Okay. So, conscious conception.
Yeah.
I want to start by asking your version of what is conscious conception. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, cool. That's a brilliant question. Like, it's so simple, but it's so big and profound. Yeah, I asked it on Facebook actually, because recently I really wanted to know what other people thought, and I got very different responses. So for me, conscious conception, and it doesn't just involve creating a baby. I just will put that in first. The work that I do specifically is fertility and helping couples conceive, but it's not just about that. So for the work that I do, it's creating a world within the world in which to welcome in a new soul. So it's creating this beautiful unit and this really balanced, aware, communicative, conscious and awake environment on all levels, physical body, energetic body, and then the communication between two beings in which to bring in new life. So for a couple that wanting to create a baby, that's how I see conscious conception. But I also view it on using our womb space as women to call in that which we want to give birth to. So I feel like I am doing that at the moment. I feel like I'm gestating this, program/retreat that's just getting ready to be birthed into the world. And that was a real conscious conception moment as well, of calling that in, welcoming that in, receiving that, and doing all the things within my own self and my own being to get myself into that space. And so what it involved for me was that inner marriage of the union between, the polarities within myself, and making sure that they're kind of balanced and mature and communicating and in synergy to be able to welcome in that concept. So it's a different kind of conception. Yeah.
I love that. So just to go deeper for other people watching who might not even understand what you mean, when you speak of different, like bringing in the polarities, can you speak more into that?
Yeah, sure. So like masculine, feminine, essentially. So the energetics of that, which is yin and yang. So it's beautiful. That's the fundamentals of Chinese medicine. It's the fundamentals of life, is that polarity. It's going from the oneness of everything and then into the duality, which in Chinese medicine we call it the yin and the yang, and the interbalance of those two. And the typical yin yang symbol with the two little fish with the eyes, it balances each other out. They co-create each other. There exists one of the other within each of the other. So there's yin versa. So when I talk about the polarities, it's that, and you can divide everything up into in the world into those polarities of yin and yang, everything. So they exist on all planes. And then when you talk about it in the kind of masculine, feminine way, that's just one little kind of element of the yin and yang as well. And then there's the dark and the light, and there's many polarities and charges. Life, actually, yeah.
So for you, with conscious conception for your program, it was working with more the masculine and feminine within yourself to be able to consciously conceive your program. Is that the polarities that were happening for you?
Yeah. And and being aware and bearing witness to which one was potentially out of balance, which one was more dominant than the other. In my life, I have tended to be more masculine dominant in many ways. I've got two young children that I, parent by myself, or we separated, the dad and I. a single mom basically, and I run a business. I've got a lot of masculine type roles within myself, and you know, always thought that because I had that in my life and I was, you know, had these masculine dominant roles, that my masculine was mature. But I realized that he wasn't mature. He was kind of this teenage boy, and
yeah. What have we lost? Someone's lost Wi-Fi. Oh no! Which one of us has dropped out? Hello?
oh, hello, ding dong. You're very good. Yeah.
Yeah, we dropped out. So that's interesting.
So recognizing that my inner masculine was pretty immature at the beginning of last year, doing a lot of work on myself, personal development, delving deep into all different aspects with different modalities, and then really realizing recently that he's really grown up a lot and he's really matured, and I feel really strong to then really embody my feminine and be in her and allow a lot more flow and freedom to happen within my life. And that is what it really dropped in as to what I am to do with this idea, and this concept, and now recognizing that I've got my masculine pretty strong behind me that's holding up the structure with it all, and you know, I'm secure in where I am, where I live, where my children go to school, you know, finances, all of those kind of foundational type things, so that now I can trust and keep going with the flow. And it's a continuous little exercise to stay in that trust and to stay in that flow and go, oh, okay, yeah, but we should plan that bit, and then go, no, okay, let's just trust. So it's this constant dance between those two. I'm learning to be more in my feminine a lot more. And it's so beautiful because things just come. And yeah.
Exactly. That's my experience has been so similar on that as well. Like really lived a lot of my life in the masculine, and then thought that meant, oh yeah, cool, I've got the masculine part happening, and then realized too, it was like, oh, he was just an immature teenager trying to run the show. And needing to really give him a lot of love and attention to grow him up, to actually be able to hold my feminine, because now that my feminine's actually on board, she's pretty darn strong. So a teen masculine can't hold her at all. So yeah, it's quite interesting how similar our path has been on that. And yeah, exactly the same as you. Like, I feel like both my masculine and feminine need to be fully on board for me to consciously conceive anything, like any of the things that I'm bringing into the world. And the more I'm in my feminine, then the more things flow. So, you know, I just feel like sharing that, because it's like, well, two women here who have been on similar paths, who have had the similar experience. I feel like so many women are in the same boat as that, of like being so heavily in their masculine and trying to bring in the feminine, and then it's like all out of whack, and that's kind of like the world that we are living in, and then wanting to conceive projects that we're bringing in or babies that we're wanting to bring in as well, and trying to do that from an immature masculine energy. So then I want to chat to you then about, like, when we move over to it being wanting to consciously conceive a baby, I guess because we're currently talking about the polarity and the masculine and feminine energies, do you feel it's the same impact when we're talking about creating a baby as well as creating a project?
Oh, fuck yeah. It's huge. And it's a key piece, and it's a big piece that I really recognized in the past few years, when I pretty much insisted on seeing both partners in the couple. You know, I mostly work with couples, I occasionally work with solo women. And really seeing, you know, these women, and it's kind of what we've become as society, and society as women in this kind of Western world. We're very driven. It's this equality that we try to achieve, and you know, it's this necessary kind of dance between the yin and yang as well, you know, coming from this patriarchy, and then Now there's, you know, this feminine energy rising up, and this imbalance as well. It's kind of crushed the men and that masculine energy on an internal level as well. And, you know, with these women wanting to receive and wanting their bodies to behave like women, i.e. conceive a baby and have a regular menstrual cycle that works really well in a really welcoming womb space, but living in a really masculine dominated way. And then their men feeling quite kind of like, I guess kind of weakened by that, kind of a bit submissive in that kind of dynamic, you know, just naturally by those energies just being a bit kind of out of balance and out of kilter. So the work that I do on that level is, and it's like super simple. It can be as simple as phrasing and just saying to a woman, you know, if you can just get more into your feeling, you know, and allow the man to be more in his thinking and his doing, you know, just in the polarities within the household dynamic, just that will change things. And that feminine energy will compel the man more into his masculine energy. And then also working on the other side with the men and helping them to really step up into their masculine presence and be really present and mature in it, and to feel comfortable in it and confident in it as well, and to not be fearful of it. And it changes the dynamic, because that is what is fundamental, I feel, with creating a really healthy, long-lasting relationship that you want to welcome a new baby into. Because, you know, I don't think it's anybody's dream to ever bring a baby in and then want to separate. You know, some people do want to do that, but majority of people want to create a family and a family unit. And so it's not only kind of creating that polarity and that dynamic within a relationship to be able to conceive and to create that conception, it then goes into helping to create a really healthy dynamic to raise that child in, as well as the years go by. You know, parenthood's not an easy journey, and you can have that dynamic already, and those methods of communicating, it's profound. And then on, you know, kind of precursor to that, on a physical level, if a woman is in that role of being masculine all the time, or majority of the time, and really driven and work oriented, and everything's kind of doing instead of being, then the body doesn't function in a really feminine way as well. The menstrual cycle's not doing, you know, its natural ebb and flow, and working in the states of the seasons and the cycles within the cycle. And then often men experience difficulties, you know, with their sexuality as well, erectile dysfunction, you know, early ejaculation, non-ejaculation, which have obviously, you know, affect the ability to conceive as well. And
I feel like that's a really important piece that I haven't seen a lot of people understand or get, like the dynamic of the masculine and feminine energy, and how much that impacts a man to be in his masculine and therefore have his sexual drive, and to have a healthy erection and a healthy ejaculation. Because if a man's been emasculated and kind of is deeply into his feminine, it's going to impact that, obviously. But I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily see or publicly comment on that part. Like, it's very much about the emotional aspect that happens for men who are more in their feminine because of so many different reasons that are happening societally. But then that piece isn't spoken about, because it's like, oh, men don't really talk about it too much publicly. It's a hush-hush piece, and women don't usually talk about it because then they are uncomfortable because maybe it's about them. Like, there's this whole piece that I see happening that's not spoken about a lot publicly. So I love that you're bringing that in as well, around like, well, that masculine feminine dynamic between a couple and a man being able to be in that, and to be able to be his masculine is so much more beyond just, you know, the conversations we have, or whether there's sexual polarity, because you can have that the other way around too if you want. But to be able to consciously conceive, to be able to bring life into this world, well, you want a healthy erection and a healthy ejaculation, right? So
yeah,
reasonably important part of the process.
Yeah. And it's, I see relationships transform, it's not just about obviously conceiving and getting pregnant, like these relationships that I get to have the honor of working with, essentially, I see them transform, and I can tell when there's red flag moments, and it's when those two polarities are not working, and there's just this real difficulty in the switching of the roles, or the relaxing into the roles as well. And it's difficult, to witness it as well sometimes, because, having been through my own, marriage, and then separation as well, I want to help people and families to potentially evolve that, avoid that, and kind of evolve their relationships so that they can at least have a communicative dynamic between the two. And and like you said, it's having that mature masculine is needed, and it's needed from the man to be present for his woman as well, to help her to feel safe and to relax into her femininity and to relax into her own body, and to be able to receive a new soul into her life. In those early months as well, in that first year of a child's life, it really needs that real strong masculine and mature masculine as well, because the woman is in a beautifully vulnerable space, throughout pregnancy and throughout those early months as well. We're so, as pregnant women, so incredibly connected to the void and the mystery and in tune. Like, my experience of being pregnant was like this heightened sense of intuition, and it was like, wow, the channel is so open, and it really needs a man to be able to hold that space as well, and an external man, essentially, in that dynamic. Yeah.
I feel like that's so often mistaken as like baby brain.
Yeah.
Kind of speaks about baby brain, which then means like that the mum's now completely forgetful and knows nothing, and it's like, yeah, but there's other things going on, like that's not what she's needing to be focused on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we try and keep the lifestyle that we had prior to being pregnant, and that was my experience too. It's a real mental shift from going from this state, and especially if you are living a more masculine dominated life, to then go into this highly feminine state of being receiving and growing a baby, and you are nature embodied. Like, it's just, you can't get more kind of in tune with nature and shamanic realms than being a pregnant woman. And it's not only, I think, it's not only a pregnant woman carrying a baby, it's that really conscious and aware woman that can open herself up to the void to receive information, and to take that in and to gestate it as well, and to work with that. It's fucking powerful, because that takes a really powerful activated womb space as well for women to receive and hold and gestate that experience. Yeah, we're pretty cool as women. We are powerful. I love it.
Yeah, totally. Like, I feel like it's such a forgotten, or I guess it's starting to come back, but it's such a forgotten power, like the womb. like that in itself, like, yes, okay, so it creates a baby, and I even think that's just taken for granted. People are kind of like, yeah, cool, great, she had a baby. I'm like, yeah, no, like, her womb just made another human. like what it made a human. Like, wow.
Yeah. I'm so blown away by it. I treated a woman today on the boat, my last patient of the pop-up clinic, pregnant woman, 38 weeks pregnant. And it blows me away that these two cells, the sperm and the egg, that come together, that multiply to create a human baby inside the womb. And then the baby comes out and it's a baby. It's like, what? I just feel like it's this miracle of life. And yeah, it's a big part of why I love the work that I do, because it's just living on the edge of that life and not life. It's not death, but it's amazing. Like, how's that happen? I get it on a science level, like fuck yeah, but whoa,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like the magic of the womb is so often just missed in that. People are like, oh yeah, because she had a baby, whatever, making it know the womb did that. And also just then that the womb can create so much more than a baby. Like for those of us who don't have babies, or for women who are not in that stage anymore or yet, it's like, but we can still harness that power of the womb to create whatever we want to. And I feel like this is a lost art that is starting to come back more and more. Like there's more women that are starting to be intrigued and interested of like, what is womb work and why would people be talking about that or interested in that? And so I kind of wonder, like, I mean, you know, your major work is working with women to have babies, but I also know that, you know, you do a lot of your own work around the womb itself anyway, shamanically. I wonder where you see that going. Like, I wonder if you kind of see more women accessing that and where that can go.
Yeah, it is definitely shifting and changing. There's a lot of, it's brilliant to watch and to witness, and quite rapidly as well. I'm noticing like it's this, yeah, and yeah, which is quite powerful. I'm not quite sure why it's happening in that way. You know, what kind of polarities are involved in that. But I see it as a really different level of uprising than happened, you know, kind of in the 60s, you know, where it was this kind of like uprising. And it needed to happen of feminism, and it was beautiful. I think at the time I wasn't there, I wasn't alive yet, but I think it was what it needed to happen that way, and it did, and it shifted the dynamic strongly. But I felt that it then became kind of stepping on the backs of men and this kind of downtrodden of men. So I feel like there's the more of a balance now between this kind of emergence of this true feminine energy and then the honoring also of the masculine energy, and this dynamic between the two. And it's never going to be equal, because equality is just this kind of linear pathway, which is just nothing. It's just beep, death, basically. It's kind of flat line. Yeah. It's not the way that life works ever, you know, it doesn't, you know, so there's never going to be equality, because who the fuck would want that anyway? Because that's just, yeah. So it's going to be, I feel like it's going to be just more of a beautiful synergy and a balance and a mutual respect and a mutual kind of creation between the two dynamics. That's what I feel like, you know, with this womb work as well, and bringing in the different aspects of it, and I think really bringing in like a shamanic element to it as well. You know, I was chatting to someone today, there's a lot of shamanic work going on at the moment, which for me just truly means really being in connection with nature and truth, which is self, essentially, you know. And it's so weaving in that element too with the womb work and the way that it's kind of evolving. Yeah.
I feel, to me, this is just like such exciting times. And I think you're absolutely right. We're not going to have equality, and I don't think we want to have equality. And I think this is just about us coming to a space of love and understanding of one another, and that there is these polarities we can play in, and everyone can play in them, be a man or be a woman. We've got access to all of it. And like, wow, how exciting to be in a time where we can choose to have access to everything instead of be placed in a box of who we need to be. Which then brings us to a space of being able to consciously conceive, because we can play in those polarities. And other place I really wanted to go with this with you is like, because I think we touched on it in the last time we chatted, was like, well, how do you feel the conscious conception then relates into the soul that's coming in as a baby when people are creating a baby? Like, it's, to me, this is like, yes, there's the getting the two bodies into the right shape physically, like so that everything's healthy and working, and both getting your polarity into a place that's ready to welcome in a baby and the relationship that we can have. But then what about, it's like, well, this is about three different souls working together, right, to bring in a baby. It's not just the two. So I would love to hear like your viewpoint on that.
Yeah, it's everything that you said, like kind of getting that physical body in the right space, the relationship in the right space, to then open up that portal on a real conscious level. And yes, I know that babies come in on an unconscious level as well, you know, many different times, but you know, to be able to do it in that beautifully conscious space, to say yes, we're ready, we want to do this, and create ritual space around it and the ceremony space around it, and to honor each other, to honor this new soul. And for me, I've, you know, my experience with it, like my real actual embodied experience, is being able to see these souls just waiting, like just kind of just on the surface of the earth, just outside, and they're just waiting for these moments to be able to drop in. And you know, sometimes it's not conscious on an earthly level as well, but those moments of conscious conception, it's bringing in that soul. It's divine. It's an incredible experience, you know, and to be able to experience that, that's conscious conception. And God, you know, like I want everybody to be able to experience that, whether it's bringing in a baby or it's bringing in that idea, because that, when I experienced it, it was in lovemaking, and it was mind blowing. Like tears streaming down my face, and like this absolute profound experience of witnessing this and witnessing the soul coming in. And it just opened up realms within myself, and just this ability to be able to envision this, and with the partner that I was with as well, to share that with. It was just an incredible experience. So God, you know, I hope everybody can experience that on some level, because it's amazing, like it is. And that's why I feel that it's really important work, because it's a beautiful way to bring in life. And the key, I think, to conscious conception is we're creating the next generation. We're creating, you know, the successes of the world, the people that are going to inherit the world. Like that's what it is. And God, I want those people to be really raised in love, and in a really conscious space where there's open communication, where there's beautiful dynamics, where everything is welcome, and there is it's just comes from a space of love. And that can be initiated in that conscious conception moment, you know, that soul being brought into this earthly plane to then, you know, go on and do amazing things for this planet as well, and continue on. We've got an opportunity to change the fucking world, basically, in that moment. We truly do. Yeah.
I've just got goosebumps all over me.
Right.
Yeah, just because like that's exactly how I feel as well. And I mean, we talked about it in our last chat that I have had more than one moment of being connected to those souls that are coming through and preparing to come through. And the piece that just excites me so much is what they're bringing. Like the vibration that they hold is something just phenomenal that I have never felt before, and which I believe is part of why there's so much womb work happening now, is because for these souls to be able to be held in a physical womb, they need for the woman to have done the work to be able to actually hold them, because their vibration is so high. Yeah, like that's the piece that I've been guided by, shown by a few of them who have come to me that are coming to clients of mine. And it's like they're bringing the clients to me for the work because of that. They're like, well, the women need to be doing this womb work in this time now, because we can't land and be held. It's too much for the woman to hold if she's not doing the womb work.
I got the goosebumps now.
Yeah, it blows my mind. And the piece that they're bringing is like they are actually bringing love. They're bringing a higher vibration of love to the planet, because that is their purpose, is to make a massive shift and a massive change on the planet at this time. So you're spot on. It's like this is our opportunity to change the world.
Yeah.
Choosing conscious conception, by choosing to be aware, by choosing to do the work. It's like, well, we are birthing the generation that is going to change everything.
Yeah. And if we've got the opportunity to be able to choose conscious conception, then why not? You know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That's,
love that though. That is because they are very high vibrational souls that are coming through, because they've got a lot of change to do on this world, this planet.
yeah.
Mopping up to do.
Yeah. Yeah, they really do. They really do.
Powerful beings, and that's amazing. You know, that, you know, the activated womb and that powerful womb and, you know, the integrated woman to be able to receive and hold and grow that baby. Yeah.
Yeah, it blows me away. It excites me so freaking much, and I love getting to have this conversation with you, because like I had, like in my experience, I'd shared it with some people and no one else had had that experience, and I was really like, oh, and then sharing with you, and our experiences are so similar. I'm like, oh my god, yes,
Yeah.
yeah, like this
Yeah.
excites me, because this is really a thing that's happening right now, and it's pertinent, and it's epic, and it's fucking real, and it's time.
It is needed. There's doors that are opening for this work
Yeah.
that have been presented to me on a fucking global level, and it's like, whoa, okay, this work is really being called for. It really is, you know, and it takes facilitators, I think, of it as well to be able to assist.
Yeah, totally. This is
Mm.
on a global scale. Like it's, I mean, you know, I'm taking Womb Spiral to America in a few weeks. It's like, I know. I'm like, I never thought I would be going to America, but it's like I'm running a Womb Spiral retreat in America, and the reason being is that I'm feeling the call of this work needing to be
Yes.
around the world. Like there needs to be as many of us who are facilitating this work as possible, and to really be doing it. It's like we need to be out there and helping these women to bring through what they need to bring through.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it
feeling
feels
like
it feels like it's for babies and just for women consciously conceiving what they're bringing into the world. Like that's what I'm feeling right now is that level of it. So
yeah.
really exciting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow.
I know. I just want us to just play with this all around the world. So I wonder if you feel like I think you shared a little bit of your actual experience last time. I know I shared like my experience of like lovemaking and kind of what happened for me. I wonder if you would be open to sharing a little bit of that. Obviously, you don't need to share anything overly personal, but what made you see that the link to conscious conception?
Like in my experience of it, or in my experience in that clinic work?
In your experience of it.
Yeah. So I touched on it a little bit just before, but it was it was okay. So it was this beautiful space with a man that I had a really beautiful connection with, and we didn't want to make a baby together. That wasn't ever our intention. You know, we knew that as well, because I've got 2 children. I don't want any more babies. But we wanted to receive that transmission of conscious conception and experience what it was, and it was in a kind of basically like a shamanic ritual lovemaking experience. You know, it just beautifully just happened, and we kind of gone through many layers in our lovemaking previously in a relatively short amount of time, but in this really amplified dynamic. And so going through the different layers of, you know, kind of, for me, it was that kind of physical body, animal body, the masculine, the feminine, the dragon, and then right into the void, and really falling and being in that. And it's a beautiful space to be in lovemaking. You know, I love being there as well, and I can come in and out of it. It depends on the partner, I find, as well. Like it massively depends on the partner, actually. you know, there's got to be a real energetic connection. So for me, it was kind of, we'd done a lot of that processing of kind of filtering each other down through those layers. And he was a man that was able to hold me in my feminine energy, and he'd witnessed me processing a lot and emotionally processing a lot. Oh, that was key, actually. You know, the night before I went through some huge emotional processing, and he just held the space for that. And it happened a couple of times, and I just was allowed to run that energy right through. And then the next morning was this particular lovemaking, and it was in this beautiful, ritualistic, open-hearted, amazing space. And basically he asked me if I wanted to receive his sacred seed, and, you know, but not in a, I know my own cycle, so I knew it wasn't to conceive a baby, but it was that moment of really beautiful communication as well, and open-hearted communication. And then lovemaking for a while, and going through all the different layers and the different realms, and then opening up into this moment of both orgasming together and him ejaculating inside me. And that moment, and it was this real void moment, and just that was when I was able to just witness these souls just all hovering around, and the tears were coming, and that's when one just went whoop and just came in. And it was that moment actually of like, oh shit, I know my cycle pretty well. Like, did we just make a fucking baby? Because I don't want the baby. I'm like, no. Let's just like, and it was not that, but it was so vivid that it kind of brought that up. But that's what it was, and it was this beautiful space. So it was working with all of the dynamics, this beautiful communication, being allowed to be in my feminine in a really safe way, him being in his masculine, going through a lot of any emotions as well, which kind of allowed us to drop more into our heart space, allowed me to really drop into my womb space as well, and then making that decision as well to do that. Yeah, so that was my experience of it, and it's what I would hope to help others to be able to get to as well. And, you know, it's all these little tools along the way that can get a couple to that space, you know, when we're talking about making a baby, essentially.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, because I feel like it's just so similar to the experience that I had, which I shared last time, and I'll share again so that people don't have to go back and watch the other video. But it's like mine was a similar thing. It's like, yeah, being in we went into a shamanic ritual container with the intention. It wasn't necessarily the intention of conscious conception for us, but it was the intention of going into a space of deep love together, and seeing what was available, and discovering the depth of love that would be available to us. And we journeyed through the womb gates. So, and I guess that's even more why for me it's like doing womb spiral for as many women as I can, so that they can really start to open and access the gates. And so our lovemaking quite often was going through the gates and going to the void. So it's interesting as well that you speak of the void, because that's like really dropping into that space of, we were just so in the void. I couldn't tell where I ended and he began, or it was just, and there wasn't even much movement, but the energy connection and the love connection and the heart connection was profound. And again, with a man that I had worked through a lot of emotional tools with as well, like we'd really journeyed very deep. And so being able to go into that space together in full trust of him being in the masculine and me just vanishing into nothing, so that we became like one. And the moment of him like both orgasming together and him ejaculating for us, there was like this crack of lightning outside. Like right at the same time. It's like, whoa, okay. And it was like I felt the sperm go all the way in, and it was like I felt it connect to the egg, and it was like I felt the egg split in and it was the wildest. And I just had tears pouring down my face thinking that this was my own experience. And he was like, did we just do we? I'm like, I think we. I think did we? I think maybe we're both like, oh, I think we just made a baby. Anyway, he went outside for a moment after we lay there for quite a while with both actually just bawling, and he went outside for a moment. And when he went outside, this soul came through the window to me and said to me, will you give everything? Will you give everything for me? And I had this moment of choice of like, yes, I will give everything for you. Like, all of you is welcome. I give everything. And he came back inside, spinning out, being like, so I just saw a soul just come like over the hills and in through the bedroom window. And I was like, yeah, that's the soul that just came to me and said, we give everything.
Oh my God.
I know. It's like, I'm like, I'm bawling again, being like, I think we just made a baby. And we're like, with it being like lightning, we're going, it's going to be Thor. We're going to have Thor. We're going to give birth to Thor. We need a community to birth this child. And actually, when we went to Egypt, we were in the pyramids, and a man came to me and said, baby, you baby? And I was like, wow, maybe we did make a baby. He's like, yeah, two babies. Oh my God, we're having twins. So then we're like, it's Thor and one of the Valkyries that we're having for sure. The lightning and the soul and the and it ended up for us that it wasn't a physical baby, and we would have been happy either way. Like, for me, it wasn't necessarily really ready for a baby, but I was like, well, I've just said I'd give everything. But it became very clear that it was about me birthing a specific project into the world, and actually two different things. And and just that mind-blowing realization that really was my transmission of what conscious conception really can be, and the understanding of the pieces that are needed in that, of like being able to drop into that real heart space and the depth of love, and being able to go into a void like state to be able to welcome and open and be like, yes, like I want you, come, and to welcome that soul in.
Yeah,
profound.
It's so amazing. It's divinity, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah. And interesting that we both had the experience of being with someone on a really beautiful, open-hearted, connected level as well, and making that decision too. I think that's really key. And having done a lot of work within ourselves and the other person too, it really factors in a lot. Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the key pieces into conscious conception. And even for people who are not necessarily, like, both of us are really quite intuitive, psychically connected, shamanically connected, but whatever way you want to kind of word it, that we would have that understanding or the feeling of the soul coming. And it's like, I really also want to state for women who don't necessarily reach that connection, it's like the true piece is having the depth of emotional connection with the other person and making that choice together. It's like making it a special ritual of some sort, whatever ritual means to you. For us, it's you and I, it's quite similar. It's like a shamanic style ritual, but for another couple, it might literally just be, dropping into a space together before they make love and doing it intentionally rather than just kind of, it happened and now we're fucking. It's like, let's make love with this intention and this purpose.
Interestingly, on that note, actually, I'm working with a couple at the moment, and they've just expressed to me that their love making is different when they're not ovulating. It's very spontaneous, it's very free, it's quite wild and beautiful, and then when they're ovulating, it changes, because it's like, oh, now we're going to make a baby. Now this is the time. Now, we're ticking, like, come on, this is it. And it loses a lot of its spontaneity and spark and love and depth. And my advice to them was to create ritual and ceremony around that space and make it even more beautiful than the other times. And it doesn't have to be about that baby making this really honored time within that woman's cycle as well, you know. So and whatever that means to them, it might just be, you know, just honoring each other and setting a little bit of time, having a romantic dinner, you know, communicating, you know, giving each other a massage or whatever, eye gazing, expressing emotions, needs, wants, and desires as well. And yeah, could just whatever it is, lighting a candle, like anything, just you know, it's a different intention to the norm. I think is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And the beauty in doing that anyway, like a number of years ago, I had a really beautiful lover, and every single time before, like it was the extreme, like every single time before we made love, we would always both go and shower and come back and sit together and set an intention. And like, why, what is this energy for? What is this lovemaking energy for? Like, what's our intention for this before we made love? And it's like, I remember the first few times being a bit like, oh, we're going to do this every time. This is like quite intense. But then dropping into the realization that actually it's just consciously using that energy.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I actually think it takes us out of our mind, because I know that with a fertility journey, because it can be quite a slow process of getting the bodies in this beautiful state of receptivity and health, essentially. You know, it can be quite a long journey, and it can really be a head fuck as well, you know. And I feel that just that little intention setting can take it out of the mind and go, oh yeah, we love each other, we're in this relationship, we want to make a baby, but you know, right now let's just honor each other and let's honor our relationship too, and let's make love, you know. It's different.
Seriously, every time I talk to you, the time just flies. I'm like, that is ridiculous.
Oh my god, it has.
I was like, oh, it's probably been half time, I should check the time. I'm like, no, that's been an hour. So I feel like to wrap up, I would love to ask, like, if you could just give what you feel are the key points of conscious conception.
Yeah, I think the key points are intention, communication, love, and awareness. Yeah, for whatever it is that somebody is trying to conceive, a woman or a couple is trying to conceive, and then working on the polarities and the yin and the yang and the masculine and the feminine and the light and the dark within one's own self, and then within the relationship dynamic as well. Yeah, and remembering that it's, you know, it's creating this new being. Yeah, that's gonna, you know, if it's creating a baby that's going to become an amazing human being as well. And it starts before they're conceived. Their life starts before they're conceived. Yeah, and if there's consciousness and awareness brought to that, then we can change the fucking world. Yeah, that's it.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Oh, so beautiful. So excited to have chatted to you about this, and like I feel like there'll be more chats. And yeah, like, I don't know, we need to do like a conscious conception workshop together or something.
That's what I feel like's coming.
Yeah,
there's something, that's what I mean, like I was touching into the beginning, like there's something that we're supposed to be doing on this.
Yeah, I really feel that too. So I'm like,
I'm already putting feelers out, by the way, and you're involved. Yeah.
Like, excellent. Let's make magic together.
Yeah. Oh God, it'd be brilliant.
I think so. Let's make many babies, human babies and project babies, and like just magic everywhere.
Oh yes, please.
Excellent. Okay.
Love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me again. I really loved our chat, and I'm sure all the women who watch it are gonna love it and get a lot out of it too. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience with all of us again.
It's my absolute pleasure, honestly, and I love it. I love speaking to you. Like, I feel like it's beautiful flow, dynamic, and joy, and I love speaking about this as well. Like, it's obviously a big passion of mine, and so thank you so much for asking me. And I feel really honoured to be asked by you, especially to come back 2 times. It's so nice. And let's do more and spread this.
Yeah.
All around. Yeah.
I think so. Awesome. Well, thank you, ladies who have been watching Mystery Mondays on the Inner Circle. I actually have the next 2 Mondays lined up with some seriously amazing women. So next weekend, I've got Georgia Rose back again. I was supposed to be with her last Monday, but stuff happened and we didn't. So I've got her next Monday and we're chatting about sisterhood, which is going to be freaking amazing. We're both going to very openly discuss our own conflict that we experienced at the beginning of our connection and openly share about how we moved through that. So it's like conscious sisterhood, I guess. So, I'm really excited about that one because the beginning of hers and my connection was really intense and there was a lot of stuff that needed to be moved through. So I really feel like it's going to be beautiful to share that with women on how we can move from stress and argument in sisterhood to actually beautiful love and friendship. So that's next Monday night, and then the Monday night after I've got Leah Steele Barnett coming on, who's I don't even know what we're going to talk about, but basically it's just 2 witches in the same space, and she's a crazy cat as me as well as me, so anything could happen. So yeah. So ladies who are watching, make sure you've blocked out the next 2 Mondays for between 8 and 9. And wishing you all a beautiful evening. And this is us signing off with an end live video. Here we go. And